Hello to my friends of YouTube. Um, we're ready for our really first video on alt sex talk. Um, and we're going to start with the basics. Who we are. Why are we kinky? When I talk with new people who come to me, young people usually, or people who come to my classes, in my basic class, I ask people, when was the first time that you remember something that at the time that resonated with you, that caught your attention, and but you could not figure out why? And what I mean is the first time when you were a child, a preteen, or a teenager. Sometime in those years is when we to begin to figure out things. Let me give you an example. For gay people like me, and even for straight people, uh, during our formation, our childhood and preteen years, we begin to realize our sexual orientation, be straight or be gay. Uh, and, we begin to realize if we're looking at the people from our own gender or people from the opposite gender, or sometimes to both. The same happened with transgenders. There is a lot of children, and now more than ever, that figure out they are trapped in the wrong body. Well, the kink happened the same way. And, and I learned this through my own experience. Because when I was a child, I remember all the kind of things that called my attention, and at the time, I didn't know why. One area, because it's very visual, was movies. In my times, when I was a child, there were plenty of movies of cowboy and Indians, where obviously people always get tied up. And somehow that's always look cool. Well, those are tied up. And I don't know why we like it, but it was a good image. I also remember the images in the movies from the medieval times where there were some torture scenes. And also those call your attention. It's not that we like torturing people. It's that we what caught our attention was the erotism that some of these images will bring. Um, Sometimes those of us who has been involved in churches, I was raised Catholic, and I remember there's a lot of images in church, the martyrs, the crucifixion, the all kind of things that could be erotic, that could call your attention for others reasons beyond the religious part. I remember, for example, when the nuns or the priests will talk about the monks who autoflagellate themselves. Uh, wow, and that kind of things call my attention. And superheroes. A lot of people relate and to the kinkiness, to the erotism that the superheroes bring, from the clothes that they wear and the things that they do, etc. So I invite you guys to look at your childhood, to figure out what kind of things you remember that could, you say, oh, I didn't realize that at the time, but yeah, that is connected to my BDSM, my kink, my fetishes, etc. And this is true. I was validated. I've been teaching this for years, but a few years ago, I ran into a book written by a psychologist about what the memories of your childhood tells about you. So this is real. So that's the first thing I will advise you to do. And it's not that these experiences make you kinky. What it's doing is waking up what is here, what is in your heart. Your truth, your reality, your authenticity is in your heart. And that's what you have to discover. What is here? who I am, what I do like. And in childhood, we begin to figure out some of that. And that's perfectly okay. And uh, so if we are kinky based on those experiences, uh, we don't have a decision. This is similar to your sexuality, to your sexual orientation. If you discover that you are gay, um, there is nothing you can do about it. You are. The only thing you could do is embrace it and open the door for your own happiness, or repress it and open your door to be miserable. The same happened with your kinkiness. If you're kinky, you are kinky, and nothing is going to change that. But you have the option of accept it, embrace it, and make it part of your life and part of your happiness, or repress it and open the door to be miserable as well. So those are the things that you got to realize and that you have to think. Do you want to repress your sexuality, or you want to embrace your sexuality? And your happiness, your personal happiness depend on that. But we have problems. We have problem because the three main institutions from the society kind of are fighting us in that quest to find who we are. And those three institutions are our family, our church, and our government. How? Well, since you are born, your parents begin to make plans for you, begin to build expectations for you, what they want you to be. And you are raised, you begin to grow up hearing those expectations. And many parents, unfortunately, don't ask you, what do you want to do with your life? But they try to impose. And this is not only about your sexuality, this is about your career, it's about everything in life. They begin to put, with the best intention in the world, but without asking you, what do you want to do with your life? And what I always tell people is, your parents live their life the way they decided to. You have to live your life the way you decided to, the way it works for you. And it's not easy. I remember spending some of my younger years trying to fulfill the expectation of my parents, until I was able finally to cut that umbilical cord and to begin to do the things that work for me, begin to live my life the way I wanted to live, not the way my parents want. The same happened with the church. If you are a religious person, if you were brought up in a church, the church is excellent telling you what you can do and what you're not supposed to do. And everything is bad, particularly in the matter of sex. For the church, for the churches, the only good sex is the sex to procreate or within a marriage. Outside that is all bad. No. One of the things I have learned in my life is that sex is extremely good. And only there are few things in sex that we're going to mention that are not good, like rape, like child abuse or sexual abuse of children, or anything against the consent of a person, or something that hurts you or the other person. But everything else is okay. Is your life, is a form to connect and to enjoy yourself and feel fulfilled. Um, and then is society with their laws. And things are getting better in many places. You know, there are countries already in this, for example, for gay people, that they have the gay marriage. But it's still a lot of the kinky stuff is illegal in most places. So there is some sort of risk that we take every time that we do some of the things that we want to do. And we have to determine if they're going to stop us. I don't think so. We just have to do it well done. And that is why education is important, to know how you can do things, how you could practice different things and be okay and be sane and consensual, etc. So you have to decide in your life if you are going to live your life according to what you want to do, or you're going to live your life according to the expectations of your family, your churches, or your society. And that is a problem. Um, I could tell you in my years of experience how many people I have met that, and I know of, that are in relationship, in what we call vanilla relationship, in the regular marriage, be gay or straight, doesn't matter. It's the same thing for both. And then they realize that there are things here that they want to explore, and their partner, their spouses are not interested, or they're not willing to. And that is where the problems are created. And then you see these people in relationships already looking for what they need in other people behind the back of their spouse. Um, Sexuality, one of the things that society, especially the Western civilization, has put upon us is that relationship between two people. And usually it was a man and a woman. Now there's more acceptance for two guys or two women or any other, but two people. And and they're supposed to do some things, and it's family and children, and like that's the only option that you have. And many people just follow those rules. And that's the difference for kinky people. When we are kinky, we have to make a commitment that we're not going to follow the rules. The rules of society doesn't work for us because we could not be who we are following the rules of get married, have children, have a life in the suburbs, and move on. One of the reasons I'm poly, we're going to have videos about that down the road, is that I don't think anybody could fulfill all your sexual needs. That's why I don't like the relationship, the monogamous relationship. But we're going to talk more about that. And I'm not saying that monogamy is bad. I'm just saying it's not for me, that I have discovered. So you have to, your big decision is, am I going to live my life according to who I am? Or am I going to live my life according to society, according to the rules of the society, according to the expectations that other people put upon us? And sometimes it's a tough thing to do, but it's what we have to do if we want to be free, if we want to be happy. Remember, in all this, in all your life, remember that the main goal is your happiness, is achieve your right to be happy. That's what life is all about. And the only way to be happy is being yourself, if being real, if being authentic, and doing and living according to that. The moment you begin to do things just to please other people, be your parents, be the church or whatever, you're in trouble. You're not going to be happy. So you have to find a way to free yourself from those expectations and decided to start living your life according to who you are. That is my best advice. That is what life is all about. And then in future videos, I'm going to be uh, talking to you about all the different uh, ways that you can achieve that. Um, uh, Leather, kink, BDSM, dominant submissive relationship is very broad. And it doesn't mean the same for everyone. So you may not say, well, I don't like this or I don't like that. Or, so you have to begin a journey to discover the things that fill your heart, that you like, and make the leather, the kink, the whatever, all this alternative sexuality to find what works for you, not for anybody else. Even some people who come into our community begin to say, well, I got to do this because this is what Master X do. Or I have to do that because that's what is that those are supposed to do. No, there is a lot of things that we could teach you. There is a lot of things that a lot of people do, but you don't have to. You do what works for you. You could learn from others. For example, if you hear something that I may say in future videos and you say, oh, I like that. Okay, take it, it's yours. But don't take it because Master Taíno says that is a good thing. No, that's what worked for me, but not necessarily has to work for you. So you have to see everything that you read, everything that you hear, everything that any class that you go, any experience that you have to determine, does that work for me? This is what I like? And if it does, go for it. It's yours. So otherwise, is not really, you're going to have problems. You're going to have problems with yourself. But is the bottom line is you have to find out who you are. And go back to the first part of the video. If you are kinky, if you go to those experiences, try to make a little memory check to see what do you remember. And let me clarify that. It's not a litmus test. It's not that, well, I cannot remember anything that I could relate to the kink, the dominance, submission, whatever. That's fine. Because to everything there are exceptions. It's like you, for example, among gays, you have people who know they're gay at 5 years old. Others know when they're 12. Others going to adulthood without realizing that they're gay. So there's some things who are different for every people. But what I have found, not only from my own experience, but what I have heard from so many people that I have teach or taught throughout the years, I have heard all kind of stories of people of what people remember from their childhood that they connect uh, with uh, with their kinkiness, the bondage, the BDSM, the domination, the submission, the service, etc. So that is a good exercise that I encourage you guys to do it. And because that is so important for that journey of finding who you are. And then if you are kinky, then you have to begin to figure out what in the kinky world is for you. Are you monogamous, or are you poly? Uh, do you have some fetishes here and there, or you are going to be a full-blown BDSM kind of guy? Are you dominant or submissive? Or you like a mix of both? Uh, uh, we try to not to put labels that people has to be one thing or the other. The same as, you remember the days that they were only male and female? And now there is a lot of different expressions, and we are accepting and welcoming them because people see themselves in different ways. There were times that people don't even believe that bisexualism was a real thing. And it is. I would say even it is more than people want to admit. And the new generation, the millennials, are changing that. I think the millennials are more open to explore the sexuality with both genders without any problem. They know who they are and they go for it. We may talk about that in a specific later. Uh, but bottom line, who are you? That's the question. And when you begin to figure out who are you, and that may take time, answers doesn't come clear cut in one day. It's a journey. Life is a journey, and you have to walk that journey and figure out things. Some things take more time. It depends also how much effort and time you put on it. Um, so life is a journey, and throughout that journey, you're going to evolve. You're going to figure out some things. Maybe one, and I could talk by myself, there will going to be one part of your life that you emphasize in some things. And as you grow older, you change, you evolve. The father decided to do different things, but it's there. It's there to be discovered. It's there to be explored. There is a problem that I have seen more often than not: fears. A lot of people are afraid of finding out who they are, or more, that other people find out who you are. And others are afraid to explore. For example, I have had people who call me and they want to have a BDSM session, and then they never show up. Or they come all the way to the street and never cross the door, never come in. Others come in and then back up, and others come and have the experience. Um, and it's the fears. The fears are normal. There's nothing wrong with being afraid. Cautious you should be. You have to make sure that you engage in this type of activities with people who are good. And you need to vet them and to make sure that they are okay. Um, Also, but I remember the book of Guy Baldwin, Slavecraft, who is a great book. It's the first book that I would recommend in relationship, in the master slave relationship. But Guy Baldwin, in that book, he's a psychologist, kinky psychologist, or as you say, psychotherapist. I'm sorry. He talked about fears, and he said the fears are normal, but what we cannot allow is for the fear to paralyze us, to not allow us to explore what we need to explore. And then he recommend go and work with your fears first, in therapy, and then come back. I have the experience, for example, a lot of people who come and they are ready to do things, to explore things, and others are very cautious. They need their time, and that is all because what is up here. When you are convinced of who you are and what you want, you go for it, and you get all the experiences that you want. When you are too afraid or too cautious, then things get slower. One thing that I found often is with people who even have an experience and they say, well, I don't think this is for me. And usually I tell them, okay, it might not be. You try and it might not be. But I give them a warning. If this is who you are, if it is in your heart, it's not going to go away. It's going to haunt you all your life. And my God, I have received many people come back 2, 3, 4 years later. Sir, you were right. I cannot take away my feelings, my thought, my fantasies of exploring this or that or that. So uh, repression is not a good thing. Sexual repression is awful. Uh, um, Whatever you do, make sure you never repress your sexuality, what the things that you want to explore, that you want to do. That is so key in your life. You know, um, you're repressing part of who you are, and that's not a good thing. So that is something that I definitely will advise you. Never repress. You can explore at whatever speed you can. Related to what other may think, yeah, we in our society are too prone to the judgment of others, what other people may think about what we do, and that's not a good thing. That's not a good thing. It's not that you have to tell everybody what you are, who you are, and what you do. Is you have to come out to yourself. You have to feel comfortable with yourself and live accordingly. And don't worry about who may know, who may not know. Nobody is going to give you your happiness. Only you can do it. So you have to be yourself, live the way you want to live, and enjoy life. Forget about what other people think. They're not going to give you your happiness. Well, that's all for today. I hope you enjoyed this first video about why we are kinky. Subscribe so you could keep receiving notifications of the next video. And I look forward to see you soon. Have a good one.